Yo, what's good, family? First and foremost, God loves you, and I love you. And I left that cabinet open. And what are you thankful for today? So, real quick, puppy's eating. She's licking the damn bowl. So, first and foremost, God loves you, and I love you. The other day, I asked myself, what am I thankful for? And I said, God's provision. And, I used gold as the thing I was thinking about. Really just God's provision, like the provision, like the things that he put before us, here for us, in our minds, in our hearts, before we even go to look for them, that are there for us, that will provide for us and nourish us and protect us and grow us, right? So his word is absolutely his provision, right? So real quick, I want to look in the verse, read a verse, and kind of give you some takeaways that I took from it, and maybe some action steps and some thoughts to think about as you go throughout your day to day. So, first thing I want to ask real quick is, what thoughts did you have about today, yesterday? I just want to keep that in your mind. What thoughts did you have about today, yesterday? How did you see today? What energy have you put into today already? And how are you feeling now? I want you to line those things up. What energy did you put into today, yesterday, and how are you seeing those things now? And how are you now? All right, so here's the verse. Proverbs 15:24 says, the path of life leads upward for the prudent to keep them, the path of life leads upward for the prudent to keep them from going down to the realm of the dead. So, the path of life leads upward for the prudent to keep them from going on to the dead. So, real quick, what is life? When you look in Genesis, it kind of gives us a picture of what life is and what God means it to be. Adam and Eve had access to forever, to never-ending life, or everlasting life, in the Garden of Eden. So, what was a garden? The garden means the Garden of Eden literally means the secured walled place of pleasure, right? So it had boundaries, right? And within those boundaries, there was security and pleasure, you know what I mean? And life. What was life? Well, what was in the Garden of Eden? There were fish, trees, birds, all type of things that provided food, that provided shade, that provided protection, that were, that could be used to help farm, that could be, the trees could be used to cut down and build houses, all these things, right? So there's understanding to be gained there, and from that understanding, there's ways to take that understanding and provide and use that understanding to your benefit and also to the benefit of the things that you're dealing with, right? Because if you don't, that's always not just to our benefit. There's always like the boundary of like, what do I want out of this, right? When God's looking at things like, will it keep working? Is it good? Will it go on and keep providing for a long time? So if I'm going to use something to my benefit and I want it to keep going for a long time, the way that I do it should be to its benefit too. So when you prune a tree, when you pick oranges from a tree, you don't cut the tree down to pick the oranges. You still want that tree to produce oranges. So you pick the oranges and you do it in right time and all these other things, right? So that is what life is. Life is connection, creation, contribution, abundance, increase, and protection. What does it take? It takes submission. Submission to what? Those boundaries, those guidelines, those walls, being under that, being willing to stay within those lines, right? Adam and Eve, once they stepped outside of that, they stepped outside of submission, they put themselves, they changed the dynamic of the relationship, and it got in the way of their blessings. So it takes submission and it takes humility. Remembering, Eve wanted to be like God. You know what I'm saying? And the reality of it is that is a long path. So the path of life leads upward for the prudent to keep them from going down to the realm of the dead. The path of life. So in order to have connection, creation, contribution, abundance, increase, protection, that's a upward battle, right? That is an upward climb, right? So upward as in towards higher things. So righteousness as in towards higher things. But also it takes energy to do that, right? The path of life is an upward, what's it say? The path of life leads upward for the prudent. So for the people who think about what's coming next, that's what prudent. What will this, that's where wisdom is in their place, right? So prudence is this, right? What effect will this have on this, and this have on this, and this have on this, and what comes after that? So the path of life leads upward. Hush, mamas, hush, mamas, hush, mamas, hush, mamas. The path of life leads upward. Raina. That's enough. Get away from there. Shh. The path of life leads upward for the prudent, and the path of life leads upward for the prudent to keep them from going down to the realm of the dead. The path of life leads upward for the prudent to keep them from going down to the path of the dead. So again, life is connection, creation, contribution, abundance, increase, protection. These are the things that God meant for us, right? It takes submission and humility. You know what I mean? Remembering, I can't do it all on my own. That's a part of humility. I need these things. I need to keep taking steps forward. But also, I'm being prudent, right? So on the other side of this, I know that if I keep taking these steps, I'm not sure what's there, but if I keep taking these steps, then at least I'm moving upward and towards something that is good. As opposed to, in order to do that, if I'm steady on this upward path, it keeps me from going down into death. It keeps me from going down into death, right? So it takes submission and humility, being under a righteous cause, and being humble about my part in it, and also respecting and being willing to learn and connect with, because this is where these connects, all these things, being willing to learn and humble myself and ask questions and admit my wrongs and adjust and all these things, right? And pray, definitely pray. Intention. You can't go uphill on accident. You can't go uphill on accident. You can't go uphill on accident. That takes intention. I have to keep putting step in front of the other step. It takes faith, action, and tenacity. Step after step after step after step after step. The result of that, by default, is that I am doing, so I am not dying. If my energy is in not doing and not within bounds and not under submission, not under control, not being humble, not being intentional, no direction to it, then I have entropy, destruction, and death as a payment. Entropy, meaning anything that has life that does not have boundaries, goes to destruction and goes to just calamity. You know what I mean? I have entropy. I have calamity. I have things that happen that don't make any sense to me because I'm not making any choices that are aligned with anything. My steps, if I'm not taking upward steps on purpose with thought ahead of me, then anything that comes towards me, that it can destroy me. It can kill me. In fact, by not doing these things, by not taking intentional upward steps towards something that is righteous, I am in fact dying. I am in fact stepping away from and rolling downhill is death. And I don't got to do anything for that. All I got to do is not be the person that I'm supposed to be, not do the things that I'm supposed to be, not being as loving as I can be, not being as calm and patient and compassionate and willing to understand and strong as I can be. You know what I mean? Like, and as prayerful as I can be and as humble as I can be. That is death. That is death. Nobody feels good not being the person they're called to be. Even people who've been hurt and now they put up these walls and they go about making all these, this will never happen to me again, never happen to me again. I'm blocking all this stuff out. You're also blocking out the love. You can't protect yourself from getting hurt and think that you're going to let yourself feel love. Because love is vulnerability. And if your walls are always up towards that, I don't want to be vulnerable. You won't know that you can feel love without being vulnerable. You won't know that somebody loves you without allowing yourself to be vulnerable, without trusting them, without putting something that is dangerous, that is important to you in their hands, without making it vulnerable to them. That's what trust is. And if you keep those walls up, I kind of went off on a tangent here, but my point is that path, that upward path towards that, it takes intention and it takes humility and it takes patience and it takes vulnerability. Because what if? You know what I mean? Because what if? But on the other side of that, if you put up those walls, if you don't take those actions, if you put up walls that keep out your blessings but don't actually protect you inside and don't allow any resources inside, if you put up walls that protect, that just block everything, then the good can't get in either, and you will die in there. So, life is the path, Proverbs 15:24. The path of life leads upward for the prudent to keep them from going down to the realm of the dead. In order to take that path, you're going to have to submit to a lot of things. To the actions, to the humility, to the worry, to the fear, to the vulnerability, to the chance that you might not make it to the top, to the chance that you might be on that path and stumble and slip down a little bit. You're gonna have to submit to that. It's gonna require humility. You know what I mean? It's gonna require you taking the time to learn and look at things deeper than surface level. Every tree and every plant that is beautiful has roots that go deep. And in order for you to be able to maximize on those things and to use those things to your ability, it's going to take some humility, because surface level doesn't do it. It's going to take intention. You cannot accidentally be great. You won't accidentally be great. And anybody who is talented from the rip and doesn't turn that talent into habits and values, it burns fast. It burns fast. It takes action and tenacity. You have to continue that intention. Once you set that intention, you have to do the things. And as God showed us in Genesis 1, forgetting the verse, in the beginning God created the world, and the world was without form. That word was means became. So God created the world, and then right after that it became without form. And then God did all these things. So he made this, and he separated this, and he put the birds here, He set an intention, and then he had to take actions to make that intention a reality. And he had to keep going. For God, it wasn't a long time. In his time, 7 days, who knows how long that really is in our time. But it's times when the story of Abraham, where Abraham gave God a promise, and he went off into the land and left all the things that were familiar and went out and went on a mission that God sent him on, and still hadn't gotten the promise after 10 years. And he went to God like, yo, what's good? And God was like, bruh, it's only been 10 years. Chill. You know what I mean? So, but he remained faithful. Like, keep taking the actions, even as things went wrong and people robbed him and stole his family, all these things. Keep taking those actions. And that is what life is. Life requires our submission, our humility, our intention, our actions, and our tenacity. Love y'all.